Good morning. Just letting everybody find me this morning. Just making sure I can get everything going here so I can see some comments. Hi, Sienna. Hi, Patty. Thanks for double checking with the sound. That was the one thing I did not test out, was if I turned my phone on silent so you didn't have to hear any random textings, if you could still hear my voice. So that's awesome. And how does the light seem, everybody? I do have a little bit of an extra light shining on. Seems to look good on my screen. Hello, Mel. Hi, Kim. I'm super excited. This is my first official live. I did sort of a test practice run on Friday in my Scrap and Smile group just to make sure I knew what I was doing. But other than one small glitch figuring out the orientation, which I figured out, I'm super excited. Awesome. Now I know that Danielle is still live in the group as well, finishing up hers. I was watching a bit of that this morning. So no worries if you're coming here catching this on replay. There's been so many things going on for International Scrapbook Day weekend. Has anybody been doing some cool things this weekend? I hope you've been able to craft along with some of the Kraftin Kimmie lives, and there was so many other things happening. I was doing a crop yesterday myself and was much harder multitasking than I thought. I thought I would be able to check out more stuff online. Oh, I'm so happy to be here too, Kim. That's awesome. Yeah, super, super stoked. So I think it looks like I have some eyeballs, so I think I can probably sort of get going, and as people kind of still stumble in and find us, we'll just kind of get revved up here. Now, full disclosure, I don't have a full sample to show you. I will post a picture in the group after the live, but I sent my projects off to Kim using the new stamp set. So the 2 card samples that I did and the project I'm going to do today are at her place. So if you did not catch the live that she started off the weekend with on Saturday morning, you can go back and check those out and see them. Oh, that's awesome, Mel, that you were at a crop. Super awesome. And Kim, you've had a busy household with everybody there. I'm sure you have lots and lots and lots of laughs that were taking place. Okay, so this morning, everyone, I'm going to be showing you how to decorate a TN Traveler's Notebook cover. I love Traveler's Notebooks for a variety of things. I went through a phase where I was doing a lot of like journaling when I was actually traveling, but I find now I just love pretty notebooks and doing all my lists and things in it. And I thought that, you know, everywhere, whether it's in Canada or other places in the world, one of the big things lately is that idea to shop local. So I thought, how cool would it be to have a little notebook where you might be doing your shopping lists or, you know, wish lists for orders or new shops you discover that you want to support, than to have a cover that was fun, that if you're throwing it in your bag or your purse or just having it sitting on your table, it looks cute, because who doesn't want a cute notebook? So I'm going to be, of course, using the new stamp set, True North Strong and Free, that was released. There was a pre-order up prior to International Scrapbook Day, and then Kim got some more in. So the last time I checked, they were still in stock in the store, and it is the cutest stamp set, Canada themed, with the little images of the moose, the beaver. They're like my favorite. I love the sayings. I love a good pun. So the have a damn good day is like, has my heart. And then the 2 fun characters that you can color up. So that's what I'm going to be using today. I did pre-stamp my images, and seeing a few of the other lives this weekend, it seemed like a lot of the gals did that as well, just to save a little bit of time. So if you are wanting to play along, as I just kind of finished getting set up, I am going to be using the moose, the beaver, the little container of maple syrup, and the little saying True North strong and free. But if you are just watching, you can easily stamp this later, or if you have other stamps you want to try to do the cover with, then that's awesome. I also am going to be using the little maple leaf to stamp out a background. So if you want to do that step and you don't have this set, a small image that wouldn't need to be colored is what you're going to want to do. Oh, it would be perfect for the Journal Fun group too. I hope some of them are able to watch, Kim. That's awesome. Yeah, great idea. I've also listed here some of the colors that I'm going to be using. I'm keeping it very simple. I'm going to be using the CLiCKART, Zebra CLiCKART pens to do some watercoloring with a paintbrush. And so that's what I'm going to be doing. I am using 3 different shades of brown, a lighter tan, sort of a medium brown. Mine's a little bit of a gold color. Really, I just used which pens were available. And then I have like a darker, sort of more golden brown. I am going to be doing something a little whimsical with the beaver, and I'm going to be using a red. Mine on my sample definitely turned out a little bit more pink. So we'll see how that goes today. I'm probably going to use this like darker red, and then I've used gray. I also will use a fine liner pen and a white gel pen for some accents. So that's awesome. That's great, Ellie. If you can catch on replay, have fun with your company. Okay, so as we get started, what I think we'll do is I'm going to start with my background just to get us going, and that way you can watch that step, and if some of you want to color along and want to stamp the images, you can do that because you could always do the background later. So I am going to, as I said, use the maple leaf for my background, and I do have Misties in a couple different sizes, but I'm just going to use a stamping block. And in fact, today I'm not even going to use a stamping block. When I do little stamped images like this, I use my ruler all the time. My like Tim Holtz clear ruler. I like that you can see through it. And one thing I actually really like about it, if I'm doing something like this, is I feel like it gives me good leverage. So I can kind of put pressure where I'm stamping, but I feel like I'm not going to drop the stamp block. Like I have a good grip. So it's a little fun tip that I like to do. So I am going to just use some black ink. I'm using the Kraftin Kimmie Wicked Black for mine. And I'm just going to stamp across the front some various maple leaves across the page, some going off the edge. I'm not putting foam or anything underneath because there's quite a lot of cushion already with the notebook. So that's working out pretty good. Oh, thanks for the nails. They're just stick-ons, Patty, that I got, and they just peel off. They smell like real nail polish, and then you just like press them on. I love them. Okay, so it's always a bit of a learning curve to decide. I'll make sure I'm doing the front of the cover. Yeah, okay. Of where you want to do it, but I'm just going to go in and give some firm pressure. Try and make sure that ink really sets in. It's always the scary part when you're not using a stamp tool like the Misty, that you're always scared like, oh my gosh, it's not gonna give a clean image. But I've been known to use a good little black pen to fill in some lines if I need to. So I'm just gonna turn the image so that they're not all the same orientation. I always find the key on this is not to go overboard, because I always find that sometimes I do, and then it kind of looks like your image threw up all over your page. Try to stagger them a bit so that they're not all like in a line. I'm gonna maybe do one sideways, kind of off the edge here. Yeah, I love the ruler idea too, Kathy. Even when I use my Misty, I find when I'm doing my sentiments, sometimes I'll stick them on the ruler and have the edge off the Misty. So I'll have to show that in a future live because I find it's my friend. I just find those little blocks, like I always drop them. I'm ready to go and then bam, you drop it on and then you get ink where you don't want to. Then you're trying to use the sanding eraser. Then you say a few choice words, and we all know how that goes. Oh, I agree, Patty. The quality of these stamps, I hardly ever have to condition them. Sometimes I'll just, like on a brand new stamp, just dab my own, like, palm onto them a few times just to get some of my own natural body oils kind of on them and stamp them up a couple times, and they are good to go. So I'm super excited to see some people that have joined me today. I think there's a few folks that I know that are maybe a bit new to Kraftin Kimmie stamps. I have been a fan like for a long time, back when Kim was doing stamps in rubber, the gray rubber. Still have a few of those in my stash, and we all had to try to figure out how to stick them to our blocks and had all those stamp adhesives that you had to try to stick on. Oh, hi, Danielle. Did your live finish up good? That's awesome. Yeah, you were doing your little layouts in the TN too. I think there's been a couple TN projects this weekend. I know Carla did a layout yesterday in hers, which was awesome. So I don't know. I think that's looking pretty good. I might do a little like teeny tiny tip. I don't know. I might regret this decision, but let's do a tip there. And maybe one more kind of coming off here. Looks a little empty. I'm liking that. I think that looks pretty good. And so for those of you that are new to Kraftin Kimmie, they are super amazing quality stamps. There are stencils, the inks. I will say this is the one company I own every ink cube for. And so that's pretty awesome. I love them. And I have a couple re-inkers, but not even that many. Like the ink seems to last and last, and I'm still getting really great stamped images with the ink cubes that I've had for a long time. So highly recommend that. And this new set, like I said, there is still some in stock. I believe I saw Kim post a link in the chat if you want to go check it out, because I'm not sure if there will be any more after this. This was already a second order. So if you want to pick up this stamp, now might be your chance. Okay, so I cleaned off my stamp there. And yeah, I'm loving that. I think that looks like a good, nice, even, not too much, not too few, and we're good to go. So that's my cover. I am not going to do anything to these images, but I at one point thought it might be super cute on the craft to color them in with pencil crayon, because I love the way pencil crayon looks coloring on craft. But I decided to just leave mine plain, so it kind of just made a black and white sort of background. So that's what I'm going to do. All right. So I'm just going to set that aside now while we get ready to do some coloring. So again, I'm going to use the mousse, the beaver, the maple syrup, and then the sentiment. I tend to stamp a lot of my images all together when I am going to stamp. I just find if they're all stamped first on one piece of paper, I can turn the paper around. I know there's a lot of folks that will pre-cut and use like the like washi tape or spellbinder's tape to kind of stick them onto. But I just find I color best when it is on a solid piece of paper that I'm going to cut out later. And it doesn't matter what medium I'm going to do. Now, because I'm using the CLiCKART, I don't know if anybody else has CLiCKART pens, so I probably should have mentioned this before, but if you are going to watercolor with CLiCKART pens, there is some papers that they will not blend with. So I stamped onto Bristol smooth cardstock. I have tested out a few of the other papers thinking, oh, it's smooth, it'll be fine. And when I go to watercolor, like the ink doesn't blend around and doesn't move. So that's just a little tip if that's something that you are wanting to maybe get into. So I don't know if anybody's familiar with these, but they are by Zebra and they just click out. You don't really even put a cap on them at all. Like they just click in and out. They stay fresh. And I bought them, I think last year at Carnival in Calgary, but maybe it was Scrapganza in Calgary as well. But I'm loving them. I'm just learning with them. But if you are looking for a way to try to get into coloring that's like low stakes, I would highly recommend them. If you have other inks, sometimes you can just watercolor with your inks. If you're using Copics, alcohol markers, just, you know, you do you. I am a very simple colorer. Like I don't worry about where the light is supposed to be shining. I just want my stamps to look cute and look like they have a little bit of pizzazz. So that's all I'm going for. So I also have, because I'm watercoloring, I just have a bit of water, and I find that I like paintbrushes best. I have some of the water brushes, but I am not good with my control with those. I end up with too much water. I don't like the thickness of the tips. So I have just purchased over the years like inexpensive paintbrushes that are quite small because I do a lot of fine, smaller images, it seems. So that's all I'm going to use for my coloring. I'm not going to be at the Edmonton Carnival, Patty. It is our grade 9 farewell at the school I teach at. So it always seems to work out that it's the same weekend as the Edmonton Carnival. And I'm always bummed because I have a huge group of people that I know that go to that one. And I would love to be able to see them more often. All right, so let me see here. I don't want to spill on anything. So I think I'm going to leave my markers over here and my water here. Okay, so I think I'm going to start with my mousse. So for my mousse, I'm going to use a lighter tan for the antlers and then the medium brown for the body. And I think in my original, I used the darker brown just to color in the hooves. I guess it would be hooves on a mousse as well. So with the CLiCKARTs, you do have to move a little bit faster. Like you don't necessarily want to outline everything and then go back in or the ink doesn't move. So I'm just going to go in with some small circles. Just let me know if anybody wants me to try to zoom in a little bit more. I can, and I can also, you know, lift it up to show some things as I finish here. So I've just kind of gone around the side and the bottom, and maybe I'll just go up here. And then I'm just going to set that down, and I'm going to do that inking and watering first. So then I'm just dipping my paintbrush in, not too wet, and just get in to the edges and then swoop in where it's a bit lighter. So it's really subtle, depending on how much ink you put in around the edges will make it lighter or darker. I have found you can go back in after if you want to, but I tend to let it dry if I'm going to add another layer, and then you really do see the darker edge. It doesn't look as watercolored, so I don't do that too often with the CLiCKARTs. So there, I've got my antlers. Now, I was talking in the chat a little bit during Danielle's live that bigger areas aren't always my friend when I'm doing coloring. Like, I still need a lot of practice with faces. I'm better, I find, with like these little itty bitty cute animals, where she was saying that she's almost better if it's like people. Okay, so then for the mousse, I'm going to use this, yes, it's my medium brown. And I wish I could tell you the colors, but the CLiCKART on the actual pens don't appear to have a name. So I just ended up getting, I think is what is the whole set, because it was like a deal. And there's only so many colors. 1, 2, 10, 20, maybe it's about 30-ish colors, just a quick glance. So I figured it was like not an unreasonable thing to actually have whole set syndrome. I don't always buy whole sets of things, but so I'm just gonna come in again on the edge. One thing I do try to do, because I'm not always worried about the light, is I'll try to pick a side. Like, I'll do all the left and under things, for example. So I don't know, with this one, I'm maybe gonna do the left-hand side and the top, and then maybe like the bottoms here where the shadow is. And I'm not going to do the whole mousse because, as I said, sometimes it doesn't move around. And so just come in on the edge. And I try to get the edge wet and then try to move out a little quicker so you do get those lighter spots and darker spots. For a new cloth for cleaning. I have a Lawn Fawn one. This is it a stamp chamois? Is that what they're called? So that's what I use, and I just wet it, and it seems to get them any stamp that I've used clean. But I'm not really one of those ones who uses stamp cleaners anymore. Like, I used to do that all the time, and I had the spray and the little scrubby pad, but I find that as long as I get the main ink off, having that bit of inky residue sometimes makes my stamps like stamp better. But yeah, I really like this Lawn Fawn one, and I think I have like a gray one I got in a retreat once that was maybe Gina K, and I feel like I got some from somewhere else too. Maybe other people. Kim, you still use the stamp scrubber and spray? Yeah, I still have mine somewhere, but I think I'm a lazy crafter now too, so I don't want to get like it out. So I just use this and wipe and go. But yeah. Oh, thanks, Patty. Yeah, I love that. It's just not too crazy. And I love the watercolor. So I don't know, maybe just put a little bit of accents on these spots. I'm gonna do a little bit of dark under the eye. I don't know, I probably would do this a bit faster if it was just me, but I'm trying to pay more attention to what I'm doing these days so that I can give people tips, because I'm like, I don't know if I've ever really thought about what I do. I just do it. And then somebody asks and is like, oh, what did you do? I'd be like, I don't know. Oh, yes, there's a bingo coming up with in the Kraftin Kimmie group, and you can request to get a bingo card to print out. The bingo is at 2:30 Eastern, and there's a post in the group, and if you go and comment right on that post, Kim will send you a bingo card, and then she literally calls the numbers. It is so fun when you play bingo with Kim, because we're all like sitting there marking, and then whoever has the bingo first like writes it in, and it's always like exciting to see whose comment pops up first. It's total fun. So sometimes the posts are a little bit wonky in the group, so I'll like change it to say new posts, so then you can like go down and see all the actual posts in order that they were posted. Sometimes it's easier to find things. Oh, I realized I forgot his little leg here. That's no good. Okay, so there's my main part of the moose. Now I did save a picture on my computer so I could remember what I did with the few of the details. Okay, so it looks like with the tail, I just left it a little bit darker. So I colored in more of it and just dabbed a touch. Now I'm going to switch to my smaller paintbrush and really dab off so I don't get the water like spilling out of my image. I can just kind of dab. So it still gives that watercolor effect, but I didn't have to really brush it that much. So maybe just lift it up a little bit so you can see. Oh, I know Patty liked to remember what colors I used, and I'm not consistent. Like I just pick what I think looks good, and sometimes that works and sometimes it fails me, but okay, so there's our cute little moose. I'm gonna wait for that to dry, and then I'll come back in and do the darker bits and the gray and the nostrils after, because I don't want, when I did my first one, I put the gray in too quick and it was still a bit wet and I didn't realize it, and then some of the gray started to spread and it didn't work out so good. Okay, so I'm gonna do the beaver next, I think. So for the beaver, I'm going to use a darker brown. Now this one looks really dark when you look at the pen tip, but it definitely like doesn't come out as dark as it seems. And then I'm going to use this like darker red that I have that, you know, might look a little pink. In the set, it actually also looks like it might come out a bit brown, but it is like a deeper sort of reddish color. So I'm gonna do the tail. I'm gonna look at my picture so I just see what I did. Looks like I just sort of kept up with my same left top kind of feel. So I think I'm gonna do that. I get quite a bit of ink on. If anybody's playing along, what are you using? Are you using Copics, or are you using watercolors, pencil crayons? I'd love to know what kind of things you maybe like to color with. And then, I don't know, I might do just a little bit along some of these, just add in just a little touch along some of these lines. I think I'm going to use the smaller paintbrush to be safe. So I'm just going in along my edge to really get that ink starting to move. And then I'll just dip back in with a little more water to kind of move the rest to get that lighter look. Copics for you, Danielle. Yeah. I have a mix of Spectrum Noir. That's how I kind of started out learning how to do the alcohol marker coloring, and then I have a mishmash of those with my Copics. And okay, so there's the tail, and then let's see if our beaver turns out as pink as my original. Oh yeah, you should totally try playing with these, Danielle. But again, Bristol paper is your friend, or test some other papers you have, because I thought I had some others that would work, and when I tried it, they didn't move at all, which surprised me, because I thought like a mixed media paper, right? Like I use that for distress ink, watercoloring, and all that. I thought, oh yeah, it'll work just fine, and some of the stuff I had, nope, didn't move at all. No color moved. So I think on my first one, I got a bit more pinkishness. I don't think that's a word, but I'm going to make it a word, because I maybe didn't have as much ink to move around. So I don't know, I'm gonna experiment and try to add more, and maybe just do like half of him at once and then come and do the other half, and let's see if we can get a bit more of the deeper red. Again, I mean, obviously beavers aren't red, but I thought it was a fun, whimsical way to bring in some Canada patriotism for my home country. Use watercolor to color, Kathy. Yeah, that's awesome. Oh yeah, I think I'm liking this a little bit better even than my original. It's a little deeper, I think, which was what I was going for when I originally tried it. So then I think I'll come back in and add a little bit up in the ear, down the arm, yeah, I'm liking this guy. This cute little fella. Oop, went out there a little bit, but we can fix that after. Oh, and see, I didn't do that hand fast enough, so the ink doesn't really want to go. So I'll just come in and add a couple little dabs into his fingers so that I have some fresh ink to swoop up into the arm. There we go. Oh, he's so adorable. Just lift it up so you can see a little bit of a close-up. I'm gonna see what I did with the feet. I can't remember. Oh, it looks like I just used the darker brown, and I think I just colored them in solid. I didn't even watercolor anything. And then I'm also gonna come in just back on my mousse and do half of the hooves with the dark brown. And then just dab in lightly with my brush. There we go, let that dry. It's kind of cute, hey Sarah? I think these beavers, I was thinking, I'm gonna try it out. I think I need to do a rainbow of beavers, like on like a slimline or something. I've been seeing a lot of people do that with little cutesy images and they like repeat it and then have like the rainbow order. I think I need to try that. Or somebody else needs to try that and post it so we can all see. Now, in my sample, I did a gray nose on the beaver, but I don't know, like, if I loved it. I think I made it a little bit too light. So I think I'm just gonna color it in today with a dark gray, almost entirely. And then just dab like I did on the hooves for the mousse, because I think I made it too light in my sample. And so it stood out to me a little bit because of the red beaver. I just didn't like the light nose, so I'm gonna make it a little darker this time. Okay, and then, I don't know, I feel like my mousse is dry enough that I can come in and do the nostrils. Just color those in gray. There we go. Hee hee hee. Okay. So then, on my original, I ended up not using the maple syrup bottle because it didn't end up fitting. So I'm going to color it up just in case, and we'll see if we can fit it on. But if not, I have maybe a clever idea I might do today. So let's pick, I don't know, I'm going to test this. I feel like I never get the right color for syrup. That's too yellow, I think. Oh, that's kind of green. I don't know, maybe like the same color that I colored the mousse almost. That might end up being a better color. I'm gonna go for that. And just keep it deeper, I think, with maybe less water. Oh, that's awesome, Kim. I'm guessing, well, no, I might be making a fool out of myself of not knowing my geography, but like, do you have more maple trees that you could actually get syrup from closer to where you are? Because I feel like they're more in like Ontario and Quebec. But I know where you live, so I don't know if that's actually close to where you would see a lot of the maple trees or not. I'm decent on my Canadian geography, but our landscape is so different everywhere that yeah, Michelle, that's a great question. With the CLiCKARTs, I haven't like tried a lot with mixing, so I feel like maybe you could. Okay, especially in Northern Ontario. That's kind of what I was thinking. A little bit more up towards, like, as you get towards the Canadian Shield, like the forest before the Canadian Shield. Because you're a lot more, like, temperate the farther south. Like, I've spent some time at St. Catharines and, like, Niagara Falls, and it's so humid down there. So I don't know. I don't know if that's, like, my favorite, you know, maple syrup look, but we're going to go with it. That is the one downfall with the CLiCKARTs, I would say, is that you are held to the colors that are available. Like, there was something I tried coloring. Oh, I know. I was doing, like, a Wicked stamp set. And, like, the greens weren't quite right with what I wanted to get with Alphaba. But you kind of just had to use what was available. Okay, and I think I'm going to use the same red that I did the beaver for the maple leaf. Oh, cool, Michelle. Oh my gosh, time goes by so fast. Like, I feel like I've not been doing this at all. And I always joke that I'm a slow crafter, and yeah, here we are. 43 minutes in. But we're almost done the coloring. And then I'm going to use the black. And I'm just going to do a black lid because I just like a touch of black. Yeah, you're right, Patty. It was Carla who actually got me into these because I watched some of her lives, and then the Zebra booth was at the one event. Gosh, I don't know what I've done with this paintbrush. It's like getting very frayed at the end here. Okay, there we go. So there is our color. I'm just gonna move my water out of the way so I don't spill. Clean up my markers. Get them over on the side. Throwing them around on the floor. Okay. I know. I guess time flies by when you're having fun, right, Danielle? Okay, so I'm just making sure that I don't miss any other details. I'm going to make sure that they're all dry, but I did go in after and we'll just touch in with the eyes. I ended up coloring them black and doing a accent. So we'll do that. The other thing you could do, like sometimes on the white areas, I'll go in with like a really light cream or blue, but using the CLiCKARTs, I don't know that I have a color that I love to do that. So I think I'm just going to leave them white. Okay, so I did not stamp on screen for you guys, but I am going to fussy cut. So you're going to have to bear with me while I fussy cut. But the reason I did that as well is because I know fussy cutting is not always everybody's favorite thing. Not everybody's cup of tea. So I thought maybe if I did the fussy cutting on camera, it would help give people faith that, you know, they could do it. So I'm just going in kind of close to my images, splitting them apart so that they're easier to cut. That's my first tip. And I usually go in and loosely cut around them so that you can get in nice and close. And then for my sentiment that I used, I'm just gonna pop that in my trimmer here. I don't know, I might regret this. I might want to use my Tim Holtz chomper one, but that looks pretty good there. So. There we go. Never see you loving fussy cutting. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I was at an event once. I think it actually was Vicky Booten, and she made the faux pas and called it fussy cussing. And I love that because I think a lot of people would say that about it. I love it. I don't mind a good fussy cutting situation. I mean, if there's a die that exists, I do appreciate that. But I find that most of the Kraftin Kimmie stamps are pretty good to fussy cut. And that being said, though, I know that there are two camps of people. The ones who like to get right in along the lines. I am one of the ones who likes the white border. So I find that leaving a white border for me is more forgiving. Because if you snip a little bit into the black or whatnot, like then you get frustrated. So I like to leave a skinny white border, you know, similar to a lot of the like look you'd get with die cuts. And then like the other tip, I mean, definitely you want to have a good pair of scissors. So like these are actually Singer sewing scissors. So they're super sharp. They're easily maneuverable. And then the other tip is to like try to not move your scissors, but move your actual image. And I also don't worry if I don't get in to every little nook and cranny. It's not going to be perfect. It's handmade. And if one bit's a little wider than the other, you can always go trim it. And the other tip too, like as I start to get this big long tail, I like snip that away and just get rid of it. Because I find when it's in your way, sometimes it affects your ability to turn and maneuver. Yeah, Sarah, we've had lots of conversations about the fussy cutting, right? Like how many times I bought dies and you haven't, because you're like, it's fine, I'll just fussy cut. Again, I don't mind it. I find it's really good if you're on like certain crops, or if you are watching lives, sometimes fussy cutting is a good thing to do because you can sort of watch the lives and do that. Oh, Patty. My mom's left-handed too and does a lot of sewing. So I'm trying to think. I'm going to ask her if she gets specific like scissors, because I'm thinking, okay, like the holes on these singers are fine either way, but I know it affects like which side the actual snipping happens on, right? So I don't know if these can be done both ways. I'm gonna ask her. I'll keep you posted, because my mom is as lefty of a lefty as you could be. Yeah, you like the white border too, don't you? Actually, one thing I am going to try while I'm doing the fussy cutting, I'm going to actually sit on my chair, because I've been standing to make sure I'm under the camera, and I'm going to see if I can still be on camera and rest my feet. Your cutting machine. Do you have the Brother Scan and Cut then, Patty, to do yours? Or do you use a Cricut or a Silhouette? I fight with those machines. Good. Still under the camera, but I definitely can't get it as close to me, so it's a good experiment for myself. Thanks for all of you letting me try some things so that I know how it works for future. Okay, there's my little beaver. Bingo! So exciting. I'm definitely gonna come and watch all the excitement for bingo. Yeah, the Silhouette, I know, like, everything has its learning curve, right? Once you figure it out, I think that's my problem. Like, I don't play around with my Cricut enough, and then I end up fighting with it, and then I get frustrated. But really, you just should try to do it more. It's like anything, right? The first time you do something, you're not gonna be good at it. Okay, awesome. Okay, so we've got all of our pieces, and now really it's just going to be fitting it together. The last thing I'm going to do is my sentiment. I've got the ruby red ink cube, and I am just going to lightly ink blend around the edges. I have probably a lot of ink still left, but from other inking, but I'm just gonna come in off the side and just very, very lightly, so it kind of gets the edges and leaves kind of the white center. Yeah, that's what I thought too, Sarah, is it's the blades, right? Like, which ones? Because that's like these scissors. Like, I think even if you turned it around, the blade, it's not going to be right necessarily. The things you don't think about. I try to have some left-handed scissors in my classroom at school, because so many kids who are lefties come and they don't really realize, or parents don't realize and don't buy them the right scissors, and then they have trouble cutting. So okay, so now we're going to just piece together our little scene here. So I'm going to play around a little bit so I get my moose and beaver where I think they look the best. That we still see, like, maple leaves in the right way. Kind of like that, I think, maybe. I kind of tried to ground my little guys with the sentiment because I didn't want them just like floating off in the universe. Yeah, I think that's looking good. It's kind of like that. Now, because this is a notebook that I am more likely to use, I just glued down everything flat. I am normally somebody who would pop things up, but on this I wanted it flat. And I'm just using glue because that's just my paper to paper choice. And I'm going to put mine just right over to the edge. And then my little beaver guy, I'm going to just kind of overlap perfectly, kind of like, so he's the true T is kind of tucked in under his arm. Might have got a little bit much on the hand there. Dab off a bit of that so it doesn't squeeze out. I do like the red, I think, that turned out with this guy better. I mean, I liked my little pink one originally, but oh my gosh, Patty, that's awesome. I know I would love Drag Race, and it's just one of those shows that I never got into, but then they show up on like other reality shows. Strong and Fierce, that's awesome. That'd be fun to do something like use this sentiment and clip it off and then use like maybe other letters or a sticker to like add the and fierce like for a scrapbook page or something. Oh my gosh, that would be so awesome. And I also think a traveler's notebook on the murals. That would be cool. I have another friend I know who loves finding murals. She used to live in Edmonton. Is a crafter as well. And now lives in BC. Okay, and then I'm gonna just put my little moose kind of maybe coming down so he's over top of the sentiment a little. My biggest thing with murals, I always love finding them and I want to take photos, but I never can get the whole thing in or in an angle that I like. And sometimes it drives me a little bit crazy that I can't get the perfect shot. Okay. Now I think I'm gonna leave the maple syrup off the front, but I have a little sneak thing that I have the idea of for the back. So all I'm gonna do to kind of finish things off, I'm gonna come in and color in with my fine liner pen the eyes, and I might add a few highlights with a white gel pen. But the other thing I'm gonna do is I enjoy kind of finishing off sometimes with some squiggly lines. So I'm gonna take my fine liner pen and I'm gonna kind of come in and do a wiggle along the outside edge of my notebook, kind of stopping wherever I meet something that's in the way. When I do this, I don't try to be perfect. Like, I wiggle on purpose because if you try to be straight or even use a ruler, it never goes like you want it to. So if you're wobbly, then that's the way to go. And then I also usually add a second line that I kind of just randomly crisscross. Christy Rypel, who some of you maybe used to watch, used to always say that it was the drunken friend, because everybody always looks better if you're both crazy together, being silly. So I often give my lines their drunken friend, and that way if something's a little crooked or a little off, the second line balances it out. And I don't overthink it, I just go. Okay. Hello, Jana. Okay. So, last finishing touches. I'm just going to add some white highlights. Hi, Naomi. I don't know if I saw you earlier. Might have missed you. Trying to work on the comments. I think I'm doing not too bad. They're not coming too fast and furious. And it is nice to keep the conversation going, because I think that's the weirdest thing about Facebook Lives is nobody can talk back to you in person, right? Kind of feel like you're talking into the wind. So I'm just going to add just a little. I'm going to make sure my pen is working here. As they get a little gummed up. Gonna add just a tiny white dot in the eyes. And I don't know, sometimes I think I would do some highlights on the images, but I don't know, I'm really, really loving how they turned out. So I don't know, I think I'm just gonna add just a couple, just little, maybe just a couple lines and dashes just along the left and bottom, maybe along the top back of the moose. Nothing too crazy. Really subtle, but just adds a little bit. Let's figure out how to do some virtual crops. Yeah, I love the virtual crops because like the Zoom is nice because you actually get to see people's faces. Like so many of you, I like don't even know what your voice sounds like. Like we know what your voice sounds like, but the face that matches the voice, we see your little, all of our profile pictures and, you know, things we might post online, but you don't have the whole package together when you don't get to meet people in real life. Okay, so all I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my little maple syrup and I'm going to put it on the very back. I might have put a bit too much glue, so I'm not going to be too squishy. And I am going to put Made in Canada on the back underneath. that will be my cute little finishing touch on there. Thanks, everybody. And then the other thing that I think I'm going to do that I didn't do on my original is in this corner, I'm going to do shop local. Because as we said when we started, it's kind of like the new thing that everybody's trying to do. So just a little kind of nod to that. So there is the cover. Thanks, Julinor. Thanks, Michelle. Danielle, awesome. Yeah, love it. Thanks for playing along, everyone. So we do have bingo coming up in about 22 minutes. So you might have one last chance to sneak over to the post quickly and comment to get sent your bingo card. And then join for the festivities wrapping up from a great weekend of challenges. And I think you still have a little bit of time to enter in on some of the challenges. So check those out. And we also have lots of other fun things coming up throughout the month in the Kraftin Kimmie group. Some new monthly challenges were just posted this weekend of the new release coming up mid-month. And so it's going to be a rocking good time. I appreciate everybody's patience as I did my first official Facebook Live demo. We'll see everybody again soon. If you have any questions or you're watching on replay, pop a little note, maybe tag me so that I'll get the notification. And I don't know if Monica's going to end up watching on replay, my friend Monica, but she loves moose. So I'm going to be curious if she tries to sneak in and nab one before they're all gone. Awesome, Kim. Thanks for the reminder. Check the special section of the website. Awesome. Okay. Well, I'm going to see now if I can figure out how to stop the live without knocking things over, and we'll see you all again soon. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.